Alright, so for this video, we're going to continue talking about rational numbers. More specifically, we're just going to be talking about, in this video, how to take non-terminating decimals and change those to fractions. And just to review, non-terminating decimals look something like this. They are a decimal with a bar notation, where this would be 0.33333, or this might be 0.2121212121, etc. So that's what a non-terminating decimal is. So I'm going to read the steps with you. I have personally scoured the internet trying to find the easiest way I could present this to you. There are a lot of different equations and variables and all sorts of different ways that we can do this, but this is actually the easiest method that I have come across to try to get this for you to understand. And it's just one of those things you're going to have to know, to memorize, to work with. There's no way around it. This is as quick of a shortcut as I can give you. All right, so let's go with it. I'm going to read this to you, and then we're going to give you some step-by-step problems. All right, so first, as always, keep the integer. Okay? All right, just keep the integer, and then let's just work with a decimal. So it says working from right to left. Notice it said right to left. All right, not left to right, but right to left. We do this. For each digit with a bar over it, write a 9. For each digit without a bar over it, write a 0. This will be your denominator, okay? Then it says, take the digits of the entire decimal and subtract it by the digits without a bar over them. This is your numerator. Simplify. Combine the integer and the new fraction together. All right, so let's go through step by step. What in the world is Mr. Lewis telling us? All right, so let's look at this very first one. It says keep, in step 1, keep the integer. Well, in this case, there's no integer there. And then it says working from right to left. So I'm going to be working in this direction. So working from right to left, every time I see a number or a decimal with a bar over it, I'm going to write the number 9. So I only see one number with a bar over it, so I'm going to write the number 9 down one time. Okay, and then it says for each digit without a bar over it, write a 0. But I'm only looking at the decimal. I'm not looking at the integer. I'm not looking at any of this. I'm just looking at the decimal side. Well, in this case, there are no numbers that do not have a bar, so I don't write anything. So right now, the only thing I'm writing down is 9, and this is my denominator. That's it. Nothing else to this. So step 3. It says take the digits of the entire decimal. Well, in this case, the entire digit is just 2. So I'm going to write that down. And it says to subtract it by the digits without a bar. Well, there's no digits here without a bar. So basically, 2 minus 0 equals 2. So guess what? This is my numerator. Guess what you just did? You just changed this entire decimal into a fraction. You're done. There's nothing more to it. So reiterate. Work right to left. Every time you see a bar, put a 9. In this case, I only saw 1. And I put all my numbers down, and so I subtract. So let's do some more over here. Okay, we're going to do all these except for the last one together. So this time I have 0.159. All 3 of these have a bar over it. Okay, and I want to turn it into a fraction. So it says keep the integer. Well, we don't have an integer. Step 2, working from right to left, going from right to left. Every time I see a digit with a bar over it, in this case, I write a 9. So I have a digit here, so I'm going to write a 9. I'm going to go over here. Hey, there's another 9 I'm going to write. And then I come over here. That one's got 1, so I'm going to write a 9 under it. Okay? So this number is my denominator. Okay? Step 3, take the digits of the entire number, 159, I'm going to write it down. All right? And then it says subtract it by the digits without a bar. Well, there's no digits in this thing that don't have a bar. So because of that, I have 159 over 999. This is a fraction. This is, well, not complete, my final answer, but this is a fraction. I have wrote the main fraction. My job is to simplify it. Well, I've done this long enough. I know I can factor out a 3 out of each one, and I'm going to simplify this thing to 53 over 333. I'm done. That's all this is. That fraction is complete. So let's look at this one. All right, same thing. It says keep the integer. So I'm going to write that down. We'll keep it. All right, and then it says working from left to right. Anytime I see a number with a bar over it, put a 9. So I'm going to start that over. So I see a 9 here. So I have a 5 with a bar over it, so I'll put a 9. I have a 1 with a bar over it, so I'll put a 9. But this 2 doesn't have a bar over it. And because of that, I'm going to put a 0 instead. All right? Now, this is my denominator. So step 3, it says take the digits of the entire decimal. So all of these, 2, 1, 5. And it says subtract it by the digits without a bar over it. So notice that the only number that I don't have a bar over it is 2. So I'm going to subtract it by 2. So let's bring this down. I'm going to keep my whole number. 215 minus 2 gives me 213 all over 990. So this is my unsimplified fraction. Why don't you take a moment and see if you can simplify this fraction a little bit farther? What you should have got was 1 and 71 over 330. This is as far as we can simplify this particular fraction. So let's do 4 together. So I have 6.1 and 23 bar notation all over those. So step 1, keep my integer. So I'm going to write it down. Step 2, working from right to left. Anytime I see a number with a bar, I put a 9. So I do. This 3 has a bar over it, so I put a 9. This 2 has a bar over it, so I put a 9. This 1 does not, so I put a 0. Step 3, take the digits of the entire decimal, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to subtract it by the digit that doesn't have a bar over it. So I'm going to subtract this by 1. Okay? Now let's simplify this thing. 6, and this is going to be 122 all over 990. So I have a fraction here. My job now is to simplify this thing. Take a moment and try to do it on your own. What you should have got was 6 and 61 over 495. This is as far as I can simplify this number. There's nothing more I can do with it. So let's try 8. So step 1, keep your integer. So I'm going to write it down. Step 2, every time I see a number from going from right to left, put a 9, as long as there's a bar over it. So I have how many bars? I've got this 3 has 1, so this one and this one. So in this case, I'm going to write 3 9s. And then step 2 tells me, step 3 is it tells me to take the digits, all the decimal, and subtract it by how many, by the digit that doesn't have a bar. In this case, there is nothing in here that does not have a bar. So that was a double negative. So basically what I said was all these have a bar. So I'm really going to do minus 0 here. Okay. So my fraction is 8 123 over 999. I can work this out and we can simplify it. And in this case, I would get 8 and 41 over 333. Okay, look at 6. Same steps. Keep the integer. All right, done. My denominator is going to be 9 because both of these have a bar over it. So my denominator is 99. My numerator is going to be 25. And since I don't have anything that's missing a bar, I'm not going to subtract anything. So I have wrote this fraction out, 3 and 25 over 99. This is my fraction. And if I try to simplify this, there's nothing I can do. It's as simplified as it can get. I'm done. 7. This one's tougher because look at, we got more numbers to work with. But the process remains the same. And I'm going to work this one out by hand because it's going to take a little while. Especially when we go to reduce. So, step 1, write your integer. Step 2, let's go through the denominator, working from right to left. I have 2 decimal places with a 9, with a bar over it, so I'm going to write 9 2 times. So that 8 gets a 9, that 6 gets a 9, and then each one of these gets a 0. So that would be 1, 2, 3. I have wrote my denominator. Now I'm going to take all this and I'm going to write it in my numerator, 8, 1, 6, 6, 8. All right, so step 3 told me to take all the digits and I'm going to subtract it by the number that does not have a bar over it. In this case, it's going to be subtracted by 816 because these 3 things don't. Now, my job is to go ahead and start working this out. My whole number, my integer, never goes away. And when I subtract these 2 numbers, I get 80852 over 99,000. Okay? So I have that. My job is to simplify this. So I'm going to work this one out with you because there's only but so far we can go. If you notice, the numerator and the denominator both are even numbers, which means that I can actually factor out, or technically we could say divide by 2. When I do, it changes my numbers to 9,40426 over 4950. So I've simplified it there. Okay, but I also notice again, the numerator and the denominator are still even numbers. So I can factor out 2 again. And when I do, I get this. I get 20,213 over 24,750. All right, that is my fraction. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is as far as I can take this fraction and simplify it. I cannot do anything else with it. I am going to leave you with number 8. I want you to try to do that on your own. This is actually the end of this video. I wanted to do this video just by itself so it didn't get too overly confusing. And hopefully this will help you. And like I said, this is as easy as I can make this procedure. And there's no way around it but just getting used to doing it. And we're going to try to do as many of these as possible. And don't be surprised if you got a quiz probably going to be coming up on this soon. And don't be surprised to see this haunting you throughout the rest of the school year. It's not going to go away. And I will talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.